The pilot of DanDaDan presents a serious problem: the exploitative and inappropriate abduction scene with its teenage protagonist, Momo. Fan service, especially that which involves minors, is a gross trope that rightfully turns viewers away. But what if that revulsion is the very foundation the show uses to make a surprisingly earnest statement? This isn't a video about excusing that depiction, but about analyzing how the series, perhaps despite itself, pivots into a stark metaphor about the difference between the traumatized and the perpetrators. Hello, my little occultists. If you do not know me, I am your luscious video host, Luis. I am back with another anime video, and today we are going to be talking about the genre-bending DanDaDan. This anime was something, or should I say that pilot was something. I saw people talk about the pilot of this anime, and from the clips I saw, it made me not want to watch it. I thought the entire anime was going to be super misogynistic and gross and incredibly exploitative to the young characters in the show. Until one day, my friend Jenny told me that after the pilot, it was pretty sensitive towards women, so I decided to give it another shot, and if it wasn't good, it would be Jenny's fault. So let's dive into a little synopsis of the pilot, shall we? This will not contain spoilers past the pilot. So DanDaDan is an anime and manga created by Tatsu Yukinobu. He also publishes manga under the name Ryu Yukinobu. I can't find a source that confirms which is a pen name and which is his legal name, or even if they are both pen names, but he has published DanDaDan under the name Tatsu Yukinobu, and given the popularity it has gained, he is now mostly known under that name. He is also known for being the assistant of the mangaka who made Chainsaw Man. DanDaDan blends supernatural horror and science fiction. We have protagonist Momo Ayase, who is fairly in the middle when it comes to the social pecking order of her middle school. She's pretty, she's not an outcast, and she has some friends. Overall, she's a super chill girl and people like her, and if anything, she's even a bit rebellious. We start the pilot with her breaking up with her tool of a boyfriend who wants her to put out but won't even pay for anything. We learned that she only went out with him because he reminded her of Ken Takakura, a real-life actor who some say was the Clint Eastwood of Japan. Handsome, manly, quiet, and cool. Momo loves the guy so much that she even swoons at the mention of his name. She wants to be with a guy like him. Later that day, she sees a kid getting bullied. He's reading a book by himself, and these boys are just throwing papers at him. She knows that since she's a pretty girl, all she has to do is just sit by him and give those boys an unsavory look and they will fall into line. She asks what he's reading, then gets up and leaves. This poor kid doesn't seem to have any friends, so he follows Momo and asks if she believes in aliens. That's what his book was about, and he sheepishly wants to have a conversation with her because he doesn't want to pass up an opportunity to make a friend. She ends up rudely rejecting his quite forward invitation to nerd out with him on account of having just been dumped that day. Momo gets annoyed and yells that that's why you don't have any friends. Realizing that was a bit harsh, to make him feel better, Momo confesses that she doesn't believe in aliens, but she believes in ghosts. He immediately makes fun of her, saying ghosts do not exist. She knows ghosts exist because her grandmother is a medium and a Shinto priestess, and has been present at many exorcisms. They argue, then egg each other on to see if their respective things are real. So Momo goes to an abandoned hospital where aliens have been spotted, and a cult boy goes to a known haunted tunnel. Much to their surprise, Momo gets abducted by aliens and a cult boy gets cursed. The aliens' technology gave Momo psychokinetic abilities that enhanced her ability to focus her ki, something her grandmother taught her to do. For a cult boy, he ends up getting cursed by Turbo Granny, a location-bound spirit who can run really, really fast. She can also bend reality in ways that make no sense. For example, a cult boy called Momo's phone and just burst through the phone. The Turbo Granny also completely takes over his body. With both of them doing all that damage to the ship, they end up crashing it and getting out. The only issue is that Turbo Granny's curse is not lifted. Momo has to use her abilities to suppress his curse from coming out. So now, these kids have both experienced significant paradigm shifts. They didn't just get proven wrong, they will never be the same after this night. They are now forever bonded in this experience. I'm sure you've noticed that I've been calling this kid a cult boy and not by his name. The reason is that we go through this whole episode without knowing his name. But at the very end of this episode, with all this happening, Momo finds out that this boy's name is Ken Takakura. And then starts the very obvious romantic storyline between these two. Since he is not the type that Momo goes for, and he is far from the actor he shares his name with, she has some resistance to just letting a relationship happen. Since she swoons at even the mention of his name, she has to call him Okarun. So this pilot is really good in a lot of ways. I think it does a great job at introducing the protagonist to us, and it throws them right into the circumstances of the show's premise. I think some might say the pacing is rushed, but I would say the rushed pacing is played for laughs and sets the tone for the rest of the series. But the reason why I also hated this pilot was because of the abduction scene, and also what Turbo Granny says when she is first introduced. There is no reason why this ghost and these aliens have to have their whole shtick about sex organs. If the creator absolutely needed to keep this theme, maybe age up the characters. They're in middle school, or if you wanted to keep the ages the same, maybe make it another organ. We really don't need the shock value or the perpetuation of violence towards minors. I know this is just a trope in anime, but it's such a tired trope at this point. Either the fan service needs to stop, or if there is, the characters need to be adults. Please keep the clothes on the children, please. So despite this, I kept watching per Jenny's recommendation, and I hate to say it, but it was actually really good. The animation is consistently gorgeous, the score is incredible, and the storyline is also really good. Spoilers coming in here for those who have not seen the show. Throughout the first season, we have 4 story arcs. We have the Turbo Granny arc, Acrobatic Silky arc, Serpo arc, and the Cursed House arc. The Turbo Granny arc is the longest arc in the season. It's also the first. The Serpos kind of piss off for a bit, and Okarun is stuck transforming into Turbo Granny unless Momo focuses on suppressing TG's energy. There's a good amount of world building. We meet Momo's badass grandmother, Seiko. This is the arc where Okarun learns how to reliably transform, and Momo gets the hang of her psychokinesis. This is also a bonding experience for both of them. We also have these great fighting sequences, and we have TG just bending reality to her will. I love it. The series also has romantic tension between Momo and Okarun that blends seamlessly into the story, though it feels a little ridiculous how long it takes Okarun to realize Momo is cute, let alone that he likes her. But it seemed obvious he kind of liked her from the beginning. I just hope he makes multiple friends outside of girls who like him. Speaking of girls, plural, that like him, we have Ida coming into the ring. I kind of love her as a character. She's delusional as all hell. Not delusional about being cute, but because she's cute, she thinks she's God's gift to the world and is doing charity work just by showing unpopular people common decency. Work. Honestly, work. I hated her at first, but her hero complex comes so far to the point where it's camp, and now I adore her. But in this arc, we have the most impactful scenes in the season. So Ida gets a hold of one of Okarun's golden balls, one of his testicles, Turbo Granny disembodied and turned into a golden ball. From holding it, it awakens Ida's spiritual awareness. She saw one of Momo's psychokinetic hands, and she was convinced Momo was a demon or something, and that Okarun was put under some kind of spell and entrapped by Momo. One thing that was unknown to her and everyone else was that there was a ghost that had been following Ida since she was a child. So this ghost, known as Acrobatic Silky, was a single mother who was a gymnast. From what the flashback insinuates is that she was an escort, and she tried her best to keep it from her daughter. She tried to hide how tired she was and tried to give her the best life that she could. One day, a man, I'm assuming her boss, or pimp for lack of a better term, came to her house, beat her up, and took her daughter. She fought back as much as she could. She gets knocked down and even gets cut up badly from broken glass. Unwilling to give up, she comes to and she sprints after the men who have her daughter, even though she's in no condition to do so. In this stylized sequence, we see her thinking about the time that she spent with her daughter, recounting her life while dancing on water under the starlit sky. And in what appears to be her last moments, she is approached by young Ida, and she confuses this woman for her mother. Her father calls Ida back and reminds her that her mother has passed away. Then Acrobatic Silky, in her daze and confusion, now believes that Ida is her daughter. We do see Ida come up to her and touching her, but I personally think Silky was already dead at this point and was a ghost. I find it very hard to believe that she had these injuries while sprinting, didn't bleed out, and was still able to stand by morning. Also, within a whole crowd of people, she is very obviously injured and no one decided to help her. I do know that in Japan, they are extremely callous to the homeless, but even Ida's father didn't have any sense of urgency or concern in his voice when Ida went to touch Silky. He would have had at least raised his voice to tell her to get away from a woman he would have thought was homeless. So my theory is that she was already dead and that was her ghost Ida was seeing. Ida couldn't see her when she got older because children usually grow out of their supernatural awareness. Seeing this was just gut-wrenching. Silky accidentally kills Ida. She saps Ida's spiritual energy. Now her body is just a husk. So to make things right, Silky decides to give Ida her spiritual energy, and we see all of Silky's memories through Momo because she was the cord that transferred her energy to Ida. I love when animes make me feel things, and I feel like animes make me feel things more than any other form of casual media these days. But after this whole fiasco, Ida now likes Okarun, so now there is this competition between Ida and Momo, though the way things are going, I would say Ida isn't much competition. Sorry to interrupt this lovely video. I just want to let you all know I am still not getting much money from YouTube, nor do I have a big enough following to justify making a Patreon just yet. So I decided to sell things on Redbubble. Do you love absurdity? Then these products are for you. Here's a button mash shirt. Here's a button with a button mash on it. Have you ever gotten up in the morning and thought, man, I wish I had a shirt with a picture of a beaver that says whore on it? Neither have I, but I made this shirt anyway, as well as this pillow. There's also this very real quote by Julius Caesar that I put on a shirt. So if you would like to support me directly, help make YouTube my job, and get a plethora of products out of it, please use the link in the video description. If none of these products interest you, but you still want to give me your support, my Venmo is also listed in the video description. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. We have the Serpo arc, where the Serpos create a pocket dimension in their school to trap them. The pocket dimension traps any power-using human. We learn that Ida is one now. She has acrobatic Silky's abilities. This is a bonding moment for Ida, Momo, and Okarun. This is Ida's formal entry into the gang. They're now working together to fight the aliens. We even have a moment of growth for Ida, where she fesses up to spreading a rumor about Momo. Now we have the Cursed House arc that starts at the end of this season. Here is where we are introduced to Gigi. Now, Gigi is Momo's first love. He was the first boy she ever liked. Now he is coming to live with Momo. Oh my. So this is stressful for Okarun because Gigi is handsome, tall, and athletic. But Gigi is extremely silly to the point where it's a little ridiculous and seems to turn Momo off. So I don't think Okarun has anything to worry about. But the reason why he is back in town is because his parents are in the hospital after trying to take their own lives. And Gigi believes their house is cursed. Even most of the mediums Gigi asked to help took their own lives. So Seiko tells the three of them, Momo, Okarun, and Gigi, to go back to his home and handle the curse themselves. The season ends right when we really start learning more about the house. I guess they were greenlit for a second season right at the beginning because the first season did not come to a dramatic close. It was a see you next week type of ending. It's safe to say that I really like this show. I was surprised most of the show didn't have the unsavory aspects I didn't like past the first episode. I guess not until the Serpo arc. So I guess the question I am left with is, what in fresh hell was that pilot? I wonder if Tatsu Yukinobu felt pressured to include this in the beginning. They might have wanted to catch a viewer or reader's attention with the pure shock value, whether it titillates them or not. Because everyone keeps their clothes on for like 8 episodes, this season all of the ghosts that we encounter have been women who were victims of violence perpetuated by men. And that abuse is never explicitly shown, much less used to trigger or even make a spectacle of it in a way that is fetishized. Turbo Granny also never mentions her breasts or performing fellatio since the first episode. We even see that she gave comfort to the spirits of the young girls who were brutalized in the tunnel where she resided. So I'm guessing the pilot was mostly used to shock people and get people talking about it. Unfortunately, the rest of the series was good enough to keep our interest. Like I said, despite depicting something incredibly harmful, the show pivots to making some kind of statement about abuse. A metaphor I see in the show that sticks out to me the most would be that the ghosts are the victims and the aliens, mostly the Serpoians, are the perpetrators. And just by the nature of how we believe ghosts to be, and definitely the nature of yokai in Japanese folklore, for a spirit not to move on, they had to have gone through something traumatic. For those who aren't familiar, yokai are a class of supernatural entities and spirits in Japanese folklore. What they are exactly, their causes and phenomena vary widely throughout Japanese culture and historical periods. Back in the day, the farther back you go, the less people knew. They blamed more and more things on the yokai, like disease or bad crops. Japanese folklore and Shintoism is very rooted in animism, the idea that everything, and I mean everything, has some kind of spirit or entity within it. Like a river, a mountain, a tree, a rock, a house, your hairbrush, and within the logic of the phenomenon of yokai, if you put enough bad vibes into something or someone, it could turn into an evil spirit, i.e. a yokai. That's why there are so many ghost Pokemon that are based on objects, and I'm guessing that's why Taro, the anatomical model, came to life and started sprinting. He's not evil, not in the slightest, but he fell in love with the other anatomical model in the classroom, which brought him to life, I guess. Okay, so on the topic of trauma, the girls who made up the Crab and Acrobatic Silky, they all went through something traumatic, while the Serpoians just want your bits, your banana. The ghosts are intimately aware of the aftermath of abuse, but the Serpoians are aloof to what kind of damage something like that can do. In fact, the Serpoians approach everything with cold logic, simply a means to an end for them. Another thing that points to how the aliens are perpetrators of abuse and assault would be how little clothing those kids are wearing when they're around. It wasn't until the Serpo returned all those kids were clothed. Nothing rips their clothes off, and let me tell you, if anime wants to find a way to magically tear away their characters' clothes, they will absolutely find a way. But once the Serpoians arrive, the clothes come ripping off, and Okarun is completely nude, and even in some compromising positions, which I hate. Lo and behold, once they leave, clothes stay on. Yes, the Serpoians have only shown up twice, and we are just 12 episodes into what I am thinking is going to be a fairly long series, so we will see if this theory of mine holds up when it wraps up. DanDaDan could also be interpreted as a power fantasy. The weak become strong and can fight against those who want to hurt them. We have Momo, a girl about to be violated, get psychokinesis powers awakened to fuck up the ones about to violate her. Ida, a girl who was accidentally hurt by acrobatic Silky, she hurt Ida in a way that those men hurt her. The girl whom she confused with her daughter. She gives Ida her spiritual energy so she can live, and as a result, she is now able to transform and use Silky's abilities. We also have Okarun, who's some spazzy kid, and he can now transform into this speed demon. Though unfortunately, he did not come out unscathed. Turbo Granny does take his junk. It's literally gone. He was left with a mound. Then later, it was partially returned. His balls were just missing. I guess this is an example of downplaying the abuse of boys. This is played for laughs, but the weight of the metaphor of what Okarun goes through is serious. A boy goes through abuse and his manhood is stripped away from him. That is heavy. After he works through what has been done to him, he gets a semblance of that normalcy back, but he is still not whole. In fact, he might never be whole. I don't love that Turbo Granny has kind of become their ally in a sense. Yes, she serves as a means of understanding the supernatural better, but becoming allies with someone who pretty much assaults you, metaphorically steals your innocence, is not something Tatsuya Nobu thought through much. This feels like a very weird way to wrap up one of my videos, but I would say this series is very action-oriented, and within these 12 episodes, it didn't give me too much to read into. I have a feeling that this series is going to be long, and I am not sure what these metaphors are trying to say just yet. But I would say this is a great anime, even considering the aspects I didn't like, so I guess I don't have to burn Jenny's house down. I will be covering season 2, so stay tuned for that. Like always, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Maybe even share if you're feeling a little nasty, and I know you are. But with all that said, I have been your luscious host, Luis, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.